long been said that the baseball season doesn't really begin until it begins at home. Good morning to you and happy home opening day. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins in the same place that you found this. Pirates 7, Nationals 4 here in Washington. I'm in Washington. I did not cover the game. I came down to cover the Penguins trying to stay alive for a Stanley Cup playoff spot, which they impressively did, beating the Capitals up the road. The baseball team, meanwhile, continued to take care of its own business pretty professionally, I'd say. Martin Perez went out with another nice outing. This one, a little bit of a step up, which is what you want to see from where he was in Miami. 6 2/3 innings, 2 runs, 6 hits, 6 Ks, couple walks. Just solid stuff from him. Luis Ortiz, unfortunately, got into a little bit of trouble after that, but Aroldis Chapman and David Bednar came out there and just mowed people down, striking out 3 of the 4 batters they'd end up facing. O'Neill Cruz, Brian Reynolds, and Rowdy Tellez with a couple hits each, and saving him for special mention, Michael A. Taylor with 3 more. All he's done so far is bat .480. Connor Joe with a home run, continuing his strong start as well. And now they're going to be where they belong for the first time after this 6-1 start. First pitch is at 4:12 p.m. If you don't get that, then you're probably best off quietly asking someone else who might know. Orioles are in town. Orioles, of course, are now a powerhouse, really, across Major League Baseball. That alone, coupled with the opener, would make it a whole lot of fun. But you're adding Jared Jones into the mix, and yeah, there's going to be a lot going on. A lot. Now, multiply that with Andrew McCutchen letting everybody know on social media that if they felt like all wearing black today to the ballpark, signifying a blackout part 2 or whatever, it's kind of a difficult thing to mimic without a playoff urgency, but, you know, it's also fun, and it's not like anyone in that particular area code doesn't have that type of clothing apparel. Good stuff. All of it worth enjoying. All of it worth appreciating for exactly what it is, even if you're not the type to want to push forward with grand forecasts or worse. I never understand this. I'm not going to get into this until they beat this team or until they have 20 wins or whatever it is. Just go to the ballpark. Have a good time. Enjoy the success. If it doesn't hold up, it doesn't hold up. If it does, hey, so much the better. But man, everybody's still so scared. I get the sense related to this team. Heck with it. Go have some fun. And you know what? Before you go, appreciate some of the better things that have occurred to date, because most of them really are repeatable, to use the baseball term. Let me throw a couple at you. I can do that. The franchise has put a lot of money into the futures of Brian Reynolds and Ke'Bryan Hayes. And they've been exactly what you need, not want, need both of those players to be for years to come. They can't have extended slumps. They can't open the season on some kind of, oh no, what's wrong with that guy type of deal. And yes, I know there's a third one now in Mitch Keller just coming off his own long-term contract. He's got some questions, as we went over on yesterday's show, but nothing that's serious and nothing that looks like it can't be corrected. You want another one? Talk about repeatable? How about Chapman? How about what he's doing on the mound in his mid-30s, throwing 100 as if it's nothing? And by the way, throwing strikes, which is the thing that really got his career back on track. He's a $10.5 million one-year investment. He is the highest paid player on this team. You couldn't have him take a trip south. He had to be who he was supposed to be. Bednar comes in, as I'd mentioned, does his thing, bouncing back from the blown save the other day in Miami. He's the guy. He's the guy you want him to be. He's the guy you need him to be. Ideally, at some point soon, once he shows his health over some sustained stretch, maybe he can be that fourth guy, as had been discussed over the winter, to sign an extension. All very easily predictable things that you could put on the shelf before you even had the shelf up. That's what you want. The Michael A. Taylor things are cool. These are sustainable. It's different. Jack Sawinski homered, had some nice at-bats. Good stuff. So let's see. Am I forgetting anybody? Anybody who might be a little bit important to the team? What, Kutch? Nah, he doesn't even count anymore. I'm talking about O'Neal Cruz. Still worried about Cruz? Still holding your breath every time he runs the bases or slides or even steps out of the box or into the box? He just looks like himself. And I know that's what I was telling you from Bradenton, but I'm sure it's not going to penetrate until you get to see it. You've seen it now. You've seen it. And you know what? Today, you get to see it in person. Enjoy. We'll be right back with a J1Q. This portion of Daily Shot of Pirates is brought to you by our friends at North Shore Tavern, that's directly across Federal Street from PNC Park. It's home of Steak on a Stone, an eating experience, underscoring the word experience. The steak is brought to you partially cooked on an 800-degree stone, and you do the rest. It's a ton of fun, it's a great meal, and it's a baseball atmosphere like no other in Pittsburgh. North Shore Tavern, right across Federal Street from PNC Park. Today's J1Q comes from Dana, who says, DK, couldn't ask for a better way to start the season. These guys haven't been dominant. They're the battling Bucks. Derek Shelton's had a couple of pretty good series himself, seeming to make all the right moves. Oh, and another thing. That Davis kid looks okay behind the plate. Hope he stays there, huh? Well, here's what I have for you, Dana. A couple of things in response to that. One is that, yeah, Shelton has had a couple of good series. However, I will remind those of you who've never heard this, I'll share for the first time, Jim Leyland's observation from forever ago that a manager is only as smart as his bullpen makes him. It's so true. Nothing makes a manager look dumber than bringing in a reliever who gets smashed right off the bat. I mean, you're thinking to yourself, you're sitting in the seats, you're watching this, you're going, you know what? If that manager had never come out and had never gotten that guy, that thing never would have happened. But you don't think about it as much whenever, you know, the way Luis Ortiz struggled yesterday. Aroldis Chapman comes in needing to get one guy out and just obliterates him. Oh, good, smart managing, Shelty. Way to go. There's not that much to it, especially when things work sequentially for your relievers. Like, let's say the manager goes and gets a lefty to go through the lefty portion of the other team's lineup, and he'll get those guys out, and then he'll bring in the righty, and you'll go, man, Shelton's really smart. He's not in this sense, okay? And he'd be the first to tell you this. It's because those guys are getting people out. That's it. Now, I'm sure you're also referring to other things like the hit and run in Miami, the safety squeeze that won the game in Miami, some buttons that he pressed here in Washington. But your main point stands on its own pedestal, my friend, because the next negative anything anyone says anywhere about Henry Davis's catching to date will be the first. It doesn't mean he's going to be perfect. It doesn't mean that there already haven't been issues that maybe we don't know about that most certainly would not get discussed publicly. You know, can I throw one at you that's just a possibility? Well, we're all cutting down on Mitch Keller, right? Mitch has not been great. Mitch has given up 5 runs each of his 2 starts. Not all of them earned, but it's still not a great look. 10 innings and 10 runs. And I'll remind you that last year, Mitch didn't seem to be all that wild about pitching to Endy Rodriguez either. He liked to have his Austin Hedges or Jason DeLay or those really, really, really good defensive guys back behind the plate. So that's me saying that, not anybody else. I'm not suggesting that anyone is blaming Henry for Mitch's problems, so don't attach that to him. That's just me throwing it out there as something that we might not know. But as far as handling pitches, not letting the ball get away from him, managing the running game, and by all accounts, managing the pitching staff. I've had more than one conversation already in that clubhouse with people who've said, hey, I really appreciate it, meaning pitchers, who said that I've appreciated that Henry's called for this in this situation, or I wasn't thinking that way. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. This, a lot like the O'Neill Cruz thing that I mentioned in the last segment, is not something you want to overlook. It's not something you want to take for granted. You don't want your 1-1 to be a success at the big league level. You need it. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. And again, happy home opening day. Everyone back home. Can't wait to get there myself in time to cover the home opener. And we will do another one of these shows on Monday.